Hi, let's talk about the Chris Lord-Alge Guitars plugin from Waves, what it's really good for, how it helps me to record at 2 o'clock in the morning in my apartment without disturbing my neighbors, and the one drawback to this plugin. I'm Keith Livingston from thedoityourselfmusician.com. The Chris Lord-Alge guitar plugin from Waves can work in a couple of different ways. For one, you can plug in your guitar to an amp, put a mic in front of it, and record it like you normally record a guitar, and then use this plugin to process the sound. And if you wanted to do that, you would simply turn this re-amplify switch to off. But that's not how we're going to use it today. I record in my apartment, and I have a Mesa Boogie amp that sits a few feet away from me. But even with a master volume on 2, it's far too loud to use in this apartment. So I plug my guitar into my audio interface and into the computer, and I record it dry. Now the problem with that is that a dry guitar sound doesn't sound very exciting. Here's an example of what it sounds like. And here's what it sounds like doing a different kind of part. Not very exciting. So what we can use this plugin for is to re-amplify the sound, to make it sound like it's coming from a guitar amp. And it's got, so I switch the switch on, and you can see it's got 4 main settings here: clean, crunch, heavy, or bypass. Now the clean is what the clean sounds like. Here it is off and then on. Obviously it makes a big difference right away. Let's hear the crunchy and the heavy sounds. Okay, there you have an example of what the plugin can do. You can instantly get a reasonable clean, crunchy, or heavy sound right off. Now you can see it's got an input level over here and an output level control. So if you're peaking like I was just doing there, you can bring this down a little bit. Now, those are the basic sounds. Let's talk a little bit about what each one of these processors does. There is a bass and a treble control, and the thing about the Guitars plugin is that it's not super controllable, but it's very useful. For instance, you can't control the frequency that this bass control works at except for to select off, sub, lower, or upper. And so these are the frequencies that Chris Lord-Alge has found most useful in working with guitars. So let's take a listen to the upper, which is, there's not much information in this guitar track for the sub or the lower, but the upper you can hear it. And for the treble control, so actually I like to use that bass to roll off a little of the low end to take a little bit of the muddiness out of the guitar. For the treble control, I find the bite control most useful. And then we have the compressor. Okay, the compressor has these settings: off, push, spank, or wall. And I'll show you what spank sounds like on this guitar track with a clean sound. I'll turn it off here. And now push, spank again, and wall. Okay, I'm going to leave that on spank, bring it down a little bit. Then we have the reverb setting. The reverb is off, club, hall, or arena, and essentially it goes from short decay to long decay. And this little part here will be the best to showcase it. Here's club. Hall. And arena. I'm going to leave it on Hall. Now, the next effect that you can put on is delay. And Chris Lord-Alge has set up some very interesting options on this one. Off, or eighth notes, a setting called Edge, and a setting called Quarter Notes. Now you may have noticed there was a little bit of a weird sound as I was switching between these settings, and that shouldn't affect you because typically you wouldn't switch between settings in a song. However, it does have a negative effect if you have a tempo slowdown in a song, and the reason is this delay is tied to the beats per minute setting in your song. So if the song has a slowdown, the delay will slow down as well. And in the process of slowing down, it creates these weird modulation tones. I'll play a section for you and demonstrate. So unless that's the sound that you're going for, this delay becomes useless if you have a speed up or slow down in the song. Now that's not an incredible problem because you can just pop it off and pop another delay in there. But the point of this Chris Lord-Alge Guitars plugin, and the thing that it shines at, is that you can throw it on a track and get a usable sound within just a few seconds. And so having to pull in another delay in time, it does take some time, and it takes a little of the sheen off this plugin. Waves, folks, if you're listening, you should have a section here where you can just type in your beats per minute and have it locked to that beats per minute and stay there no matter where the song goes, so that this would be usable in songs with tempo changes. Okay, next we have the pitch control. And this is kind of a chorusy effect. You'll see it here. Stereo. And you can hear that gives a nice chorusy sheen. And now wide. Little shimmer. And spreader. I'll show you what that sounds like on a heavier guitar part. Now you can hear one other drawback of this plugin right here as this guitar part's about to come in. Noise. And really it's not bad at all except for on the heavy sound. And typically, as you can see, I have this a volume decrease here on the end of this track, and that will help you. You can fade out some of your tracks where they get noisy. And typically when there's heavy guitars going on, there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's not a problem. Okay, so you see how the fade out will help. Now, I did something here at the end of this little guitar demo where that I think is important. And a lot of distortions do not play well with interesting chords. Now, in this case, I have a suspended fourth added to the chord. And some distortions will just break up and sound ugly, but take a listen to the way this one sounds on a suspended fourth. All the notes ring nice and clear, and it sounds pretty nice in my opinion. Okay, so essentially, the Chris Lord-Alge Guitars plugin is really good for getting a quick sound, and for your standard guitar track, if you like this kind of sound, it's going to do the job in 80-85% of the cases. If you're looking for something unique, this is not where I would go. The one other thing that it helps me do, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're playing a heavy sort of guitar track, You can't use an amp, so you've got to run direct into the board. Well, it's not very exciting mentally, and it's hard to get in emotionally when it sounds like this. So I can throw this on a track and get a little bit more into the mood listening to it, and even select a different sound later. If you would like more tips for promotion, recording, musicianship, and marketing for the do-it-yourself musician, click on the subscribe button now.